Muted. Good evening. I'm Susan Fisher, and I'm the chairperson of the Jewish Community Foundation of Greater Ann Arbor. The Foundation Committee is representative of our Jewish community and is the planned giving arm of the Jewish Federation and the repository for the endowment funds of most of the Jewish organizations in Ann Arbor. We also hold numerous donor-advised funds. Through the foundation, organizations and donors like you have the opportunity to create permanent endowment funds that are professionally managed and will benefit the Jewish community of Ann Arbor well into the future. The foundation is sponsoring this program because it is overseeing the Life and Legacy program in Ann Arbor. Our hope is that through the Life and Legacy initiative, legacy giving will become part of the fabric of our thriving Ann Arbor Jewish community. In a few minutes, you're going to hear from one of our speakers and our host, Margaret Schreiber. Margaret, as many of you probably know, is an attorney. She received her law degree from the University of Wisconsin. For 17 years, while living in Chicago, she held positions as both a lawyer in both public and private sectors, and also did own a business. After a short stint in Columbus, Ohio, she finally saw the light and couldn't resist saying that, sorry. And she moved with her husband and daughter to Ann Arbor, and we are so pleased that she did. Margaret has worked with the Life and Legacy Coordinator since January of 2020 and is so proud to be part of this amazing program. And we are so lucky to have her working with us. Margaret.
You know, Susan, I can't thank you enough. That was such a lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. So hi, everybody. As Susan said, I'm Margaret Schreiber. I'm the Life and Legacy Coordinator here in Ann Arbor. And I just had a few housekeeping items before I start the presentation. First, I'm going to ask that everybody hold on to their questions or write their questions in the chat during the presentation, but we're not actually going to answer the questions until we get to the end of the presentation. So I just want to make sure everybody realizes that. The upper right corner of your Zoom has different options for how you can view this presentation, play around with it, figure out what works best for you. We're recording tonight's presentation, so if you do not wish to be on camera or seen, go ahead and turn your video off. Please mute your microphone while the presentation's ongoing. It helps cut down on background noise so everyone can hear. And I'm thankful to Rachel Wall and Eileen Freed for assisting me tonight with the presentation. And I also want to thank Ezra Brown, our intern from the University of Michigan Jewish Communal Leadership Program. He had class tonight. He could not make it, but he helped tremendously in the preparations. So what is Life and Legacy? Slide 2. It is a 4-year partnership program between the Harold Grinspoon Foundation and federations and foundations across North America. This partnership assists communities to promote after-lifetime giving, to benefit local Jewish day schools, synagogues, social service organizations, and other Jewish entities. These local charities are referred to as partner organizations in the Life and Legacy program. What's the Harold Grinspoon Foundation? Some of you may not be familiar. It is a philanthropic organization committed to charitable giving, primarily in the Jewish world. One of the most well-known programs of the Grinspoon Foundation is the PJ Library, developed in 2005, which many of you are probably familiar with from kids or grandkids receiving free books in the mail related to a variety of Judaic topics. In 2012, the Grinspoon Foundation launched the Life and Legacy program. The Ann Arbor community was accepted into the program in late 2019 and kicked off in 2020. The Harold Grinspoon Foundation funds 33% of the program budget each year for 4 years, with Federation funding the other 66%. Federation administers Life and Legacy here in Ann Arbor, and I'm an employee of Federation in my role as the coordinator. The Grinspoon Foundation also provides their significant expertise and experience on running the program and conducts training sessions and consultations. Incentive grants are also part of the program and help motivate groups in achieving concrete goals. Next slide, please. The Jewish Community Foundation of Greater Ann Arbor, as Susan explained, is the legacy arm of the Jewish Federation. The foundation manages endowments in the Jewish community and oversees the Life and Legacy program. Life and Legacy donations are placed into each organization's permanent endowment fund set up through the Jewish Community Foundation. The Harold Grinspoon Foundation recognized that endowments, in the past a luxury, are now an essential element of any nonprofit's long-term financial stability strategy. If 20% of a nonprofit's operating budget is not coming from endowments by 2030, then experts say that the organization will be facing significant fiscal challenges. In establishing Life and Legacy, the Harold Grinspoon Foundation has transformed the landscape for legacy giving and communal collaboration. Ann Arbor is part of a network of 70 communities across North America participating in this program. As of December 31st, 2020, these 70 participating communities are representing 719 partnering organizations and have secured almost 30,000 commitments with an estimated value of $1.1 billion. 122 million of that has already been realized. So that's the background on the program, and now for the program itself. You most likely support many of the participating Ann Arbor Jewish partner organizations, but have you included these programs in your will or long-term giving plan? By leaving an endowed gift to a participating organization through Life and Legacy, you help ensure a strong, vibrant, and enduring Jewish community long into the future. Legacy giving enables those committed to the continuity of the Jewish community to carry out the values instilled by parents and grandparents, and to ensure those values are passed on to the next generation. And our next slide is a short 45-second animated feature that explains our Life and Legacy program.
The world has changed, and it is clear we can't predict the future. We can cherish what we value most: family, friends, community. You can act now to ensure that the programs and services of our Jewish organizations and agencies will thrive for generations to come. A gift in your will, retirement account, or a life insurance policy will include you as part of the Life and Legacy Initiative, which has united 11 essential community organizations. You choose one or more of these partner organizations to support, and together we are assuring our Jewish future. It is that simple, and you are that powerful.
Okay, so what organizations are participating here in Ann Arbor, and what are they going to ask of you? There are 11 partner organizations in the program. The 11 organizations are the Ann Arbor Orthodox Minyan, Beth Israel Congregation, Chabad House, Eastern Michigan University Center for Jewish Studies, Hebrew Day School of Ann Arbor, Jewish Cultural Society, Jewish Community Center of Greater Ann Arbor, Jewish Family Services of Washtenaw County, Jewish Federation of Greater Ann Arbor, Temple Beth Emet, and the University of Michigan Hillel. And each organization has a team of volunteers. The program is broken down, so the first step is for the team of volunteers from these organizations to speak with you about legacy giving and signing a letter of intent. What's a letter of intent? It is a promise that you will leave a legacy gift. It is an incredibly easy form that I will show you in a few slides, but at its most basic level, The letter of intent is the commitment. Slide 9, please. Eventually, we will ask you to let us know that you have formalized your commitment. So what is the gift? How do you make good on your commitment? You can make an after lifetime gift, or you can make a current gift. In both cases, money is put into a permanent endowment fund for the organization. The reason money must go into the endowment fund to qualify as a legacy gift is that we are trying to build up endowment funds so that long-term financial security is achieved. Building healthy endowments sends off a certain amount of income every year to the organization. These funds offer organizations flexibility when it comes to weathering crises and lessens dependence on dues and ongoing fundraising. We are asking for after lifetime gifts for 2 reasons. One is that it will not detract from your annual or current gifts to the organization. And the second reason that we ask for after lifetime gifts is that these gifts are from your wealth rather than current assets. Not only does this have the potential to be much more in the future, but it also ensures that you do not give up any resources while you're still using them during your lifetime. One of the best attributes of life and legacy is the emphasis on collaboration. Our community case statement booklet includes heartfelt statements from each group describing why their organization is so valuable to our community and asking you to help ensure their future. We have this community case statement booklet available online, and there's a link in the chat that connects you to this beautiful piece. When the team members from the various organizations discuss the program with you, they are careful to ask you to consider all the participants in Ann Arbor. The groups are working together to help each other succeed. Every team has a goal of securing 18 legacy commitments or letters of intent by August 31st of 2021, which is the end of the first year of our program. Each organization who meets their goal will receive a $5,000 grant. Those who attain their stretch goal of 25 commitments will receive an additional $2,500. The next slide is the letter of intent. So this is the legacy commitment form. I want to point out first thing, it is not a legally binding form. It is a first step in fulfilling what the program's about, taking action to give back to those Jewish organizations we love and who love and support us. The Grinspoon Foundation came up with this program as a way to start with small steps to integrate legacy giving into our communities. To start, we ask you to complete this form where you express your intentions. So the top part of the form is typical donor information, your name, your address, your phone number, whatever. Then the next section is the commitment. That's the key part. So you're asked to sign this page indicating that you have either already made arrangements to leave a legacy gift, or that within the next 12 months, you intend to legally formalize a legacy gift. And there's 2 points to make here. Some of you have already made provisions to leave a legacy gift before this program was even rolled out. We ask you to complete the form anyway to let us know that you've taken action already and formalized a legacy gift. This is important so that the teams can thank you and steward you and appreciate you. And it is also helpful for our organizations as far as having your legacy gift count for purposes of the Life and Legacy program. Those of you who have not made a gift yet, and this form is step 1 for you, at the time you sign this form, you are declaring that you intend within the next year that you will make arrangements to formalize a gift. Even if at the end it takes longer than 1 year for you to get this done, as long as you sign the form with the intention of getting it done, it counts for purposes of our program. The next section on the form has the organizations listed in alphabetical order, and all you need to do is make a check mark. It's really very easy. Just letting us know which organizations you would like to leave a legacy gift to. To the right is the section called Gift Information, and this is an optional section on the form. You can complete a letter of intent without completing this section. It's fine if you haven't yet figured out how you will go about actually making your gift. We do ask you to please let us know if you wish to remain anonymous or if you can be recognized and how you would like your name to appear when published on donor lists. And we have a link to this form in the chat as well. The easiest way to return this form is just to scan it and email it back to me. My name and email address are actually on the form. So you can also return the form if you'd prefer to the organization or organizations that you have chosen. This last slide has a list of all the contacts for each partner organization. Remember, there is a team of volunteers working with this contact person, and these team members would love to have a conversation with you about life and legacy and how it can work for you. Today was just an overview of the program. We're sure there are a lot of questions. Eileen Freed, Executive Director of the Federation and Foundation, is available with me today to help provide answers. And actually, right before we get to the questions, I wanted to let you guys know about one more event coming up that is on the next I lied, the next slide's the last slide. On Sunday, March 21st at 11 a.m., we're having a conversation called Thoughtful Topics to Navigate as you begin or review your estate plan. And our presenter is Alan Kotzen, who's a professional in development at the University of Michigan for 30 years. And Alan is currently a committee member with the Jewish Community Foundation of Greater Ann Arbor and will provide an excellent program on behalf of the foundation. And we have a registration link in the chat for that as well, if anyone would like to go ahead and register for that. We have Mara Kent, who's an estate attorney. She's wonderful. She's my estate attorney. She's here with us tonight. There she is.
Hello.
Mara is someone that is a really great resource if people are thinking about updating their estate plan and they need an attorney. I personally can highly recommend Mara. Mara, can you put your information in the chat? Maybe that way if anyone would like to. And if Mara, you said too, if anyone had questions in this program that you know might be more legal, technically related, you'd be happy to answer them as well.
Yes, not a problem at all. And I'll put the information in the chat. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Mara. Okay, so let's see what are some of the questions that we have. So yeah, Alan's program is going to be about things to consider when making your estate plan or reviewing and updating your estate plan. That's the focus of his presentation.
Tyler.
I think we're continually unclear about the difference between making a donation annually or on the spur of the moment, which we have been feeling really compelled to do this year more than usual to maybe some of our favorite organizations, and how that is different from the organization's point of view on receiving that money as a donation, unrestricted, versus something that is put into an endowment fund. Is that restricted, or is it really the same money?
Do you want me to take that, or do you want? Okay, so yes, I mean, that is such a great question. I believe that all of our favorite organizations are certainly very keen to receive donations, both restricted and for specific purposes, on an annual basis, on a regular basis. The legacy gift doesn't necessarily replace, I apologize for my dog, does not replace that, but it it's really another step on a philanthropic journey, right? So the beginning of the journey is our annual gifts and sometimes maybe our larger gifts for some particular designated purpose. But the idea of a legacy gift is to ensure that your giving continues in perpetuity. Now, the answer about whether or not a legacy gift needs to be restricted or unrestricted, that is also open. Each of our organizations has an endowment fund specifically for unrestricted funds. And what will help we know, we have just recently learned this, we know that by about 2030, about 20% of a nonprofit's budget should come from the income they earn from their unrestricted endowments. So really, a gift to an unrestricted endowment ensures that they're able to sort of have that stability of their basic turning on the lights every year as they're developing their budgets. It is also, however, possible to make a restricted or designated endowment. People have set up endowments to fund a scholar in residence program, or to fund ESL programs at JFS, or to fund a particular position as they do at universities. I mean, it is to fund camp scholarships. There are certainly ways to designate the funding, and it is very important to the organizations who are participating in Life and Legacy that there also be unrestricted endowment money. So I guess, does that answer your question? Sorry, Eileen.
It's okay, not exactly, because
Okay.
on the form, which I don't now have up in front of me.
Okay.
The
We can
form,
put it up. Mhm.
well, the form, when you're talking about making the gift, it gives you all these options, and it does include a cash gift. So how is that cash gift not an endowment? And if it's not tied to one of those other things that are legal documents, but if you commit to making a cash gift, why is that not why? I don't understand how that
The
can
cash, yes. So the cash gift would be as a legacy gift. So let's say you decided to make your gift now. We actually just this week, I believe, received a cash gift from somebody who decided that they wanted to at least begin making their legacy gift now. That gift, because of this program, whether it's received directly by the organization and passed on to us or given to us for the benefit of the organization, goes right into their endowment fund. So the gift may be cash, but it is going into the endowment fund and then will be used for perpetuity. So the stuff on that column, and I have a link here in the chat, if you're able to pull that up, but what's in the column is really the ways in which you can make your legacy gift, but the legacy gift does need to go into an endowment.
Yeah, if I could just add, basically, it's very important that all the organizations have fundraising that happens now. There's the now. What this program is trying to focus on is the future. And so it's a whole different level of, and while you can certainly make a cash gift now, it will go into the endowment fund for the future so that it can keep growing and growing, and the monies will eventually, they'll spin off, and over time, it'll be able to help these organizations so they're not so dependent on the now. And that's kind
I
of
understand. I don't want to take up all the time, but I'm really a nitpicker on this detail because I'm at this point, I've told a couple of people, I am personally uncomfortable with these options that talk about signing over some beneficiary thing. I am just not ready to consider that. But I am comfortable making a substantial donation on an annual basis. And I've already talked to a couple organizations about doing that. So I guess what I'm torn in about is if that counts and if that can be assigned to the endowment, is that better for the organization, or would they just want to have that donation for their ongoing unrestricted budgeting? That's just me. I'm not I'm not ready to commit. I
Sure,
need to know
sure.
more, but I mean, for instance, I just had this wonderful long conversation with Devin Meyer,
Mhm.
who I don't see on the call,
Right.
about some ideas I had for what the Jewish Family Services is really getting into. And you know, I've been very active, and I've made some donations to the JCS. So there's my thing. Then I make my annual donation to the Federation. Okay, so all those things are options. But if I want to make a long-term commitment, because I see where the programs are going, I want to be able to, you know, empower the organization to move forward with it. But I am not ready to sign over on a dotted line, a forever thing that says my kids don't get it, or I don't feel comfortable about that commitment.
Sure, I understand. I think Judy wants to say something. I'll let Judy say something.
So Eileen, this is not to take any money away from your kids at all. Some people are doing things like saying, and it's a good lesson for your kids to say, this is something I believe strongly about during my lifetime, and I'm trying to it helps them understand. But a lot of people have given a percentage. So they say, okay, kids, you're going to get 99% of my income. I'm going to give 1% to Jewish things. Or, you know, does that help at all?
I think it's different, and I think it's just a very subtle way of understanding philanthropy. I mean, I'm certainly not at a level, I don't know, you can't compare it to what anybody else is thinking, but we've had this conversation with our kids, and we've always said, actually more like 2 kids, ourselves, and this quarter of whatever it is would be philanthropically designated. So we've already had that conversation. How we do it, or what we have to sign on a dotted line, isn't clear. And that's where I've struggled with this. And I thought I realized this was a new program, and we just made this donation to JFS. And I'm thinking, well, should I have allocated or designated that for the endowment? Does that help them? Or past gifts from only a year ago, where I made a donation to JCS, is that something that would be better toward their 18 commitments? Do they need that? And retroactively, you know, if I'd known about it, I don't know.
Well, I think the answer is that for organizations, both are important. And I would be really delighted to have a conversation with you, and with Devin is brilliant. I'd be happy to sit down with you and Devin and talk more about it. Certainly one of the things we want to be very clear about is that we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable or feel that we're not asking anybody to sign on a dotted line about something they're not ready to do yet, but we also want to provide you with whatever tools and information we need. So I'm happy to have an appointment. In fact, I'll write it down right now on my task list to reach out to you and we'll in the next couple of weeks, and we can discuss it. All right.
Susan, did you want to say something?
Eileen, I just sent you a private message on the chat. That's all I wanted to tell you. Look at it.
I see it.
Okay. And we could talk. I can possibly help.
Oh, yeah.
I see.
All right, we can talk.
You just.
Tony has a question or a comment. Thank you, Eileen.
Kesselman, I have a question.
I'm sorry, Igor. I think that Tony is going to speak, and then I have you noted as well.
Hi. So I have a question of something that I don't really understand. So first of all, I'm calling from the East Coast in suburb of Baltimore, but my daughter is a senior at Michigan, go Blue. And I just got paperwork from the Ann Arbor Federation to set up an endowment with University of Michigan Hillel. And I think Rachel might be the one involved, or
actually, Tony, it's me. It's very nice to meet you.
Okay, nice
yes,
to meet you too.
I was just completing. I was working with Stacy on the paperwork for you. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
So just, you know, not to spend too much time, but my mom, who was 98 and a half, passed away in December. Holocaust survivor, went through like a living hell for 9 years and ended up in the United States and building a great life, and often spoke, you know, about her experiences. So in her memory, we're going to set up an endowment to sponsor all the Yom HaShoah events at Michigan Hillel. They have like 3 events. And this is something I've been very involved with the Federation, the Associated, it's called in Baltimore, in the synagogue, and we have a Jewish Women's Giving Foundation. And I made a decision a couple of years ago that I want to do philanthropy a different way. I don't just want to give a check for whatever. If a kid needs a winter coat, one of my friends who teaches, they call me and I'll buy him a winter coat. You know, and I mean that in a micro way, in a macro way, that this makes me happy that every year the Yom HaShoah programs will be the Ruth Goldschmidt Memorial Fund. But this is, so just as a way of introduction, and for those of you who don't know, the Michigan Hillel is one of the most remarkable Jewish organizations I've encountered in over 60 years of being in this business. And it's really remarkable. So this is what I don't understand. Let's just say, for argument's sakes, the program costs $5,000, just to pick a number. You know, they have like 2 days of programming. So you start an endowment, like, how do they pay for their program? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, if I give whatever the amount is, if it's $1,000, if the program's $50,000, but let's just pick 5,000. So if I write out a check today for $5,000 and they can do their program, yeah, I think it's in April, beginning of April. Like, how does that keep happening year after year? Do you see? I understand if someone gave $100,000, then you take whatever percent it is, 5%, and it lasts forever. But when you're just starting, how does that work? Because I don't really understand.
So that's a great question. I mean, people do it in lots of different ways. So for example, if the funds aren't there to start with something larger, then you could wait, or Michigan Hillel could wait several years before drawing on the proceeds of the foundation, of the endowment. We have had situations where people have made lots of, or had their friends and family make lots of donations into the fund. So, gosh, I was cleaning out some files, and there were a few in which, you know, there was in the memory when Dorothy Newman turned 100. Oh my goodness, people were making so many donations into that particular endowment fund. And when another family's, you know, sadly their daughter died, and they set up a fund for scholarships for Israel. And I mean, so many donations went into there. So that's a way to actually beef up the fund, and that's a very nice, you know, way to have that happen. And then we do have a regular spending, you know, that it's, for us, it's 5.5. In some cases, people do set up funds that spend down, but I don't think that that's your intention when you want it to be in perpetuity. So the goal here would be to not have it spend down. Is that helpful? Great. So I think Igor also had a question.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Igor.
My name is Igor Kesselman. And you probably guessed from my accent that I came from Eastern Europe, actually from Ukraine. And in your form, you have one item which says other. So what my wife and I were thinking, if we're gonna donate to US Holocaust Museum, so it means it's not gonna count towards Life and Legacy program, right?
I mean, right, because the way the program works in our community is that each of these organizations that are listed, sort of the not others, they have goals that they're trying to meet. And so in meeting those goals, you know, those count, right? But if, let's say you were going to make a donation to one or more of these organizations in Ann Arbor, for those who see me on screen, I just happen to be looking at my second screen. I apologize. But then you may also wish to leave a legacy for the United States Holocaust Museum, and you could you could indicate that in the other space, that particular gift wouldn't count towards any of our local goals, but would certainly be appreciated, and we could certainly work with them and with you to make that connection. It's funny, I didn't notice the other because I actually did a legacy gift for a day school that I was involved in founding in North Carolina. And I just called them up because I know they're a life and legacy community, and I got their LOI so that they can get a check mark. I didn't even think to include it in my form here because it said other. So you have better eyes than I, so.
One more question,
Yes.
if I may. We already, my wife and I already have a will.
Yes.
And actually, we set up a trust. So everything we own belongs to trust.
Mhm.
So it means we're going to have to redo that will. Because we have two kids, we give them 50-50. 50% to one kid, 50% to two kids. Now we have to modify this. So is my assumption correct?
Well, it depends, and I might let Mara maybe
Yeah.
address this, but right. So I might let Mara go ahead and take a stab at this.
Sure. Hi, Mr. Kesselman. My name is Mara. I'm an attorney here in Ann Arbor that does estate planning, and you don't necessarily need to amend your trust, although you can amend your trust if you wanted and say, 45% to each child and then the 10% going to charity. But there are also other ways that you can leave your trust exactly as it is and still be able to do philanthropic giving through the Ann Arbor Community Foundation or Jewish Foundation or whatever organization you wanted to. So there are all kinds of ways, either through a beneficiary designation on an account. You can set up separate trusts where you fund that trust. There are charitable annuity trusts. So there are really almost an infinite number of other ways to go about giving that wouldn't require that you amend your current trust. Your current trust can handle whatever assets you've put into that trust. I tell my clients to think about a trust kind of like a safe. It holds whatever assets you put into it, just like a safe would hold whatever jewelry you put into it, but it doesn't require that you put all your jewelry in the safe. So some of your pieces of jewelry you may give to your spouse or your children or to, other family members, and you can do the same thing with your own assets. Those assets that you put into your trust will be governed by your trust, but you can have all kinds of other assets that you give directly to charities or set up other trusts to give to charities or set up annuities to give to charities without even adjusting your estate plan per se.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other questions?
Margaret, there was a question in the chat asking what is the average gift for a life and legacy? I don't know if we know that off the top of our heads here.
We don't actually know the average, but I can tell you what the placeholder amount is that they have us use when when someone fills out their letter of intent and they say they want to leave a gift, but they don't get into any of the details. We use $25,000 as the placeholder amount. That's the amount that the Grinspoon Foundation says is actually on the conservative side. But honestly, anybody can choose however they want to handle it. So, some people might give a cash gift of $5,000 that we put into the endowment fund to benefit the organization in the future. Some people might, when they pass, they end up having an estate that, they left 10% of their estate to the charity, and whatever that amount is, it is. So it's not really, you don't really have to have a specific amount, and it's really not, it's not important for the program how much it is. The idea is that anybody can be a philanthropist. You don't have to be a millionaire to be a philanthropist. Anyone can do it. and it's very manageable. And that's part of what the Life and Legacy program is trying to help all of us understand, is we need to adjust the way we think about philanthropy and recognize that we can all make contributions either after lifetime or during our lifetime to help our communities down the way, so that they're not struggling when there's another pandemic in 100 years or whatever.
And actually that for some of us, sadly, but for some of us, when we're gone is when we have more assets to share than when we're living. Not for everybody, for other people, you know, they're able to do more in their lifetime, but you know, it's a way in which we, you know, can contribute. Any other questions? Well, I want to thank Margaret for a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for being here and for your interest in Life and Legacy. And we're all, you know, I was actually really delighted to see so many team members on the call, because some of the folks on this call who are members of their organizational teams have learned about this and have been hearing about this quite a bit. And so we're grateful that you joined on as well. And we're all of the teams are more than happy to speak with you about your interests in philanthropy and in supporting their organizations. And I think in follow-up, perhaps we can also share that slide with all that contact information. And of course, the links that we shared have actually, there's one more link. I'll just put up our Life and Legacy page. If you just go to jewishannarbor.org, but I am putting this is directly, sorry, to the Life and Legacy page on our website. And much of what we spoke about is there, and contact information is there. There are links to every organization and there as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to be able as well to send, if people are interested, I'm happy to send out this PowerPoint as well as a follow-up. So, and we can also post that online as well, so anyone can access it.
Could I, I'm sorry, I wanted to add one more thing. I was thinking to Mr. Kesselman's question. I get this a lot as a state planning attorney, you know, questions. I want to leave for charity, but I feel like I don't have anything to leave, or I don't have very much during my lifetime to leave. And I always encourage people to look into life insurance policies or annuities, because you can pay just a very small amount during your lifetime, but leave a very nice gift after your lifetime, or if it's annuity, even during your lifetime, is a wonderful way without really depleting anything that is going to be going to your children, but being philanthropic at the same time. So that's a wonderful way. If any of you are like, how I want to do this, but I don't want to upset my kids, or I don't want to upset, you know, my status quo, and make sure I have enough to, you know, live on the rest of my life. That's a really effective way and a very affordable way for many people. So
yeah, that's a good point, Mara. And you can leave a percentage of the life insurance policy to the charity. You don't have to leave the entire thing to the charity as well. And when you're a young person just starting out, you know, it's pretty affordable to go ahead and get a life insurance policy. So it's actually kind of an easy way to do it. So thank you for speaking to that.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Did you want to say something, Prue? Or are you saying goodbye? I think you're muted.
You.
Oh, there you go. Thank you
very much, everybody.
Thank you all.